Hello folks, and welcome to Floating Ideas. If you're a subscriber, welcome back and thanks for subscribing. Yeah, I've been doing this, I should say been doing this for 4 years, but there was a long gap. There is a reason why there was a long gap, and I'll come to that on one of my videos eventually. But yeah, this is my 5th year afloat, and also in that time when I'm on the boat, I've always been off grid. And I was very fortunate in the fact that the boat had solar when I bought it. It had 400 watts installed. But yeah, a bit about my background. I'm actually an electronic engineer, and I did want a boat with solar. There are lots of advantages to having solar. I'll come to those in another video. But this video is basically, I'm going to tell you some of my secrets, tools I use to work out how to plan my solar. My 4 odd years of growth and developing where to put them on the boat and how to utilize them. So I think this is a good place to start, because if you want to buy solar, you're probably going to think, where can I put them first? Because at the end of the day, that's going to dictate what you can actually use, how much you can actually fit on your boat or a van or any other property you've got. And the thing about solar is a lot of it is to do with where you put it. So this is a very important topic, and also the reason why I'm starting. Yeah, where you fit it on the actual dwelling, and its orientation. Now obviously a boat or a van, you're going to be moving around, so you've got some control over that. Less so probably on a boat. In a canal, you're really generally mooring one side rather than the other. Yeah, so yeah, I originally had these set up on my boat. There were two 200 watt panels, tiltable. You could adjust them pointing port or starboard, which was helpful depending on what the side the sun was onto you. Quite good. I like the idea to be able to adjust them, although really it becomes a hassle moving them about. Also sometimes the rope would get in the way because things would be sticking up. And the worst thing about them was the fact that they tended to seize because they used galvanized bolts on the adjustment knobs, and they basically rusted up. So you could no longer adjust them, and they didn't become totally loose, but they were loose enough to sort of slip down, and then you found it very, very difficult to get the panels to move back up. So if they were laying flat, you then got all the shadow from the triangles, which kills your solar output, which is not very good. And yeah, so I decided to change from that. They were installed by the previous owner, in that was, I think it was 2017. Come 2020, we find ourselves into lockdown, coronavirus, people working from home. I unfortunately couldn't do that. I had to go to work because I didn't really have enough power on the boat to do the job I was doing. I could work part of my shifts from the boat, provided I could run a laptop and a phone and all the rest of it and be in communication the whole time. And bearing in mind that sometimes that would involve nights. I mean, you know, there's no sun at night, is there? Yeah, it was tricky. So eventually I'd had enough of being one of the only people who did every single shift day, and worrying about, you know, commuting into work with all the virus about. This was before the inoculations. Yeah, I decided to upgrade and replace the 400 watts with a combined total of 650, 2 panels of 325 each. And I decided to lay them flat because it was easy just to make mounts for them out of existing brackets. So yeah, so I laid them flat. Obviously that means you don't benefit from angling. And then I decided to keep hold of the original panels because I had a plan. I did want to put more panels on the roof, but if I put the small ones on the roof, then I wasn't going to be utilising the maximum amount I could install. And rather than get rid of them, I'd done some research. I found a wonderful website. It's an EU website, good old EU. who actually give you a calculator that lets you work out where on the globe you are, what kind of solar output you're going to get month by month, which is very useful because most people with solar always say, or thinking about it, always say, well, it doesn't make any power in the winter, does it? Well, it makes less power in the winter. I mean, admittedly, December is really bad, but you use less power if you can possibly can in the winter. So these are my roof panels, the 1.4 kilowatts, and this is what it tells me I'll get in December. Notice how much lower it gets in December, 20.5 kilowatts approximately. Now this is for my 400 watts on the side, and they're giving me almost 20 kilowatts. They're 18 point something in December. It's much flatter if you look between the summer and the winter, and that's the advantage of having them almost vertical. Now bearing in mind that in terms of scale, the ones on the roof are 3.5 times larger than the ones on the sidewall. Gives you some idea of just how good it is to have these side mounted panels. I've effectively doubled my solar input for December by adding those 2 small panels on my sidewall, and that's a big reason to have them. And yeah, so if you know what you're going to get, then you can calculate what to get in terms of your power output, in terms of panels to buy. And people talk about doing audits of how much electricity you use, that sort of thing, to buy panels. Don't bother doing an audit. Really don't bother doing an audit. It's a waste of time. Unless you're trying to put a minimal install of solar, in which case you're not going to really, you're just going to put what you can afford, aren't you? If you can't afford a lot, you'll put, or you don't want too many panels on your boat, you just won't buy many panels for your boat. But if you want to try and be as self-reliant as possible and be as comfortable throughout most of the year, or as much of the year as possible, then you're going to fit as much as you possibly can. So yeah, my 2 small panels. With the aid of this website, I realised, and thinking about it, it made sense. I realised that in the winter, the sun doesn't actually get above your head. If you look at the midday in the winter, the sun barely gets above the horizon. It's very low. Yeah, so the sun is very low. And if you look at this photograph that's taken in my cabin, you'll see 2 suns, two images of my porthole. And to me, they look equally bright. Now, the one at the bottom is actually the sun coming through my porthole, and that's at midday. And you see how low the angle must be, because that's just going across my path. It's almost horizontal, but it's not. It's slightly angled. So the sun's not very high at all. But notice above it, not very high above it, there is another quite strong sunlight beaming on, image beaming on the wall. And that is a reflection off the canal. So, yeah. So now it's going to make sense with my little thumbnail asking that question, why are my solar panels on the side of the boat? Now, the advantages. Yeah. Now, obviously, I've shown you that picture with the 2 sun images. So, yeah, you're going to get, even though you're going to get a lot more from the panel in the winter being in that orientation, you're also going to get the reflection off the water. So it won't give you double the power, but maybe, be pessimistic, say 50% boost. So yeah, that's equivalent to 50% more than they tell you on the chart of what you're going to get. So my side panels in the winter on a sunny day make more than all of the installed solar. Although I've not actually been for a winter with all my roof installed solar yet. But yeah, so yeah, 400 watts, more than equivalent to 1.4 kilowatts flat on the roof. Now that is pretty amazing. And in fact, that would be 3.5 times the power if they were even equated to each other. But I think I'm going to get more on a sunny day from my side panels. So yeah, the other advantage, well, in my thumbnail, you'll notice that there's no snow. So yeah, here it is again. These are my front panels in the snow on the same day, and they're totally covered. Now imagine you're on board, you wake up in the morning, you think, oh well, I'll clear the snow off, provided it doesn't keep snowing, no harm done. But what about if you set off early in the morning to go off to work, and you do a shift at work, and you come back tea time, and you found that during the day, early in the day, there's been a snowstorm, and you come back and your panels have been smothered in snow, and you've got absolutely no power in the batteries at all. You've had no charge, and it's the middle of winter. You're gonna be pretty miserable. So yeah, that's an advantage of the side panels. You see, you don't get any snow. You really don't get any snow. You don't get much of anything on the side panels. I mean, occasionally you get the odd bird strike, you know, the odd bit of bird poo flecks down and streaks on it. You wash that off about once a year. But yeah, not even any much dirt builds up on them, so I hardly ever have to wash them, which is just as well because they're on the off side of the boat. Now there is an advantage of having a smaller boat. I mean, mine's 45 feet, and I can turn it round almost anywhere on the canal system. I don't have to worry, you know, make memory notes for where the winding holes are. I can usually turn around. I've been caught out occasionally where it's just a few inches too narrow, and I think I'll get safe. I think, oh God, I'll have to give up and reverse down or manoeuvre a little bit till I find somewhere that's a bit wider. But yeah, yeah, being able to turn it so that my panels are safe and they're not going to be hit by cyclists, which just happened to my boat. I've had a bike fall against the side of my boat with what the noise was. Yeah, so on the water side, and you're getting the reflection. And obviously, you know, they're a little bit more secure there because it's a bit more difficult for someone to come along and try and you know, hack them off or something if they're on the outside water side. So yeah, I like to. Also, a lot of boaters, you know, the way you lay out is in your boat, your seating, etc. You know, you get used to having your window views and opening onto the canal a certain way. Certainly, if you've only got one side hatch, then you're probably going to want it to open, you know, over the water. A lot of people do. Alternatively, some people like it on the shore side, so they can get in and out and talk to people. But yeah, so they're the main reasons. So yeah, you get more sun, you get more power in the winter. You also get the reflection from the sun, which gives you more power in the winter. You don't get the build-up of snow on snow days, so that's more power in the winter. So yeah, it's pretty good. And it's an area that wouldn't be utilised. So if it's going to make that much difference for your winter power when you need it most, then it's a pretty good thing to do, and I'm quite glad I did it. So yeah, hopefully this will help you decide where you want to stick your panels. Obviously, it depends on your fitments of the windows. I just happen to have enough space between, you know, my windows in a couple of areas on the side of the boat. If these panels had been shorter, I could have put more between the windows. But yeah, what I got fitted the space I had just about. They do go between my two windows over there. They are right up against the frame of the window. You don't really see, you can just about see the edge of the panel from inside, but they don't really block the view or the sun coming in, daylight coming into the boat. So yeah. Yeah, just one quick additional note, one thing I've got to mention, and that is on cloudy days, any time of year, whichever you know, whatever time of year it is, with them on the side, you will get 40% of what you would do if they were laying flat on the roof. So you do get less solar when it's a cloudy day, because obviously you're not seeing very much sky. Even with reflection off the water, you're going to get about 40% of what you would get flat on the roof. So on very cloudy days, I will get more power off the ones on the roof, and that's a good reason to have them. And obviously that's why I've spent the money to get them. But the ones on the side, they really do come into their own on the bright mornings or bright evenings during the winter, and they make a world of difference. So there we go. You make your choice. If you've only got the roof, then that's going to give you the maximum power probably throughout the year. But on this side, it's definitely a boost for the winter to have both. So yeah. So I hope you like this video. This is only the first, and hopefully there'll be two, maybe three more, covering different aspects of solar power, the panels, what to buy, and where to buy them, that sort of thing. How to actually connect them up, how to install them, and other goodies like that. I might do a little video on all the things you can do when you've got all this extra solar power that you wouldn't even dream of doing, or know you could possibly do if you didn't have them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Give me a sub and a like if you like, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.